How you doing, everybody? It's your boy Wardy, and as you see, we're back at it talking about the amazes of folks. We're back at it discussing bat targets. This is probably the last bat target video that we're going to do of this MLB offseason because we know David Stearns and the New York Metropolitans have been plenty active in the free agent front, but what player could they actually realistically find themselves landing? They've been connected to everyone and their mother, but we've seen a lot of connections and very little actual substance where they land said players. And most recently, earlier today, Justin Turner signed a one-year $13 million contract with the Toronto Blue Jays, a player that seemed like a potentially really strong fit for the Mets, especially after losing Ronnie Mauricio for the 2024 calendar year. So what player could they find themselves landing should they still add a bat this MLB offseason? Let's break down 5 bats that make sense for the Mets for more reasons than one. But before I do that, make sure to smash that like and subscribe button, as it is the easiest and best way to support the channel. Thank you all so much in advance, and also thank you all so much in advance from hearing from today's video sponsor.
BetUS, America's favorite sports book, where you can bet on everything anytime. Sportsbook, casino, horse racing, live betting, and more. We have the best bonuses in the industry. That's right, get a 125% sign-up bonus. And to celebrate our 30-year anniversary, we are giving up to 30 risk-free bets, a truck, Super Bowl tickets, and more. Don't miss out. Play smart. Join now. BetUS, where the game begins.
Shout out once more to BetUS for being a great sponsor on the channel. And as you heard there in the little commercial, yeah, they're giving away Super Bowl tickets. So what are you waiting for? Get in on the action today by clicking the link in the description. That way you too get a 125% boost with your first deposit. So if you deposit $100, you automatically get $225 to work with. And there's no better time to get in on the action if, say, you know, you've been doing it every now and then for your sports betting, covering the NFL, or maybe your other sports betting needs, NHL, NBA, but especially with the Super Bowl right around the corner, what are you waiting for truly? Do you got the Niners? Do you got the Chiefs? Personally, and I picked them a month ago, I got the Niners beating the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, so we'll see what happens. There's no personal preference or anything like that, just what I honestly feel like is going to happen. But whatever your sports betting needs are, make sure to check them out. And again, stay tuned, as we'll be doing unique WardyNYM parlays heading into the MLB regular season, covering all things Mets. Starting off at number 5, we're discussing a player that I guarantee you probably haven't thought of much this offseason, and that is Donovan Solano. Solano, the 36-year-old infielder, makes plenty of sense for the Mets if David Stearns is very adamant in making sure Mark Vientos gets consistent reps. Should this be the case, Solano makes plenty of sense for the club as a bench infield option and a guy that, of course, can get DH reps based on certain matchups. Now, Solano, unlike some other guys in today's video, isn't known for the power, but is known for both the high contact and great OBP ability. This past season in Minnesota, playing third base, second base, first base, and DH, literally playing every infield position. While he didn't do it greatly, he does provide plenty infield diversity, which I'm sure could be appealing to someone like first-time manager here in Carlos Mendoza, getting unique with his different options in said infield. 5 home runs, 38 RBIs, 43 runs scored, a 282 average, a 369 OBP, nice, and a just under 800 OPS, around 760 or so. So we're looking at 116 WRC plus, which means he's 16% better than the average batter. He's in the 90th percentile this past season in sweet spot percentage, so no one is hitting the baseball in the best spot possible with that barrel the way that Donovan Solano is for the most part. He's been absolutely tremendous. His expected batting average is one of the best in baseball. His xWOBA is really strong. Hard hit percentage is up, 66 percentile, 69 percentile, also nice in the average exit velocity. But in all seriousness, Solano is someone that certainly fits the bill for this club, as the Mets can acquire a high contact, high LBP, positionally diverse bat while not prohibiting Mark Vientos from still getting daily reps at the DH position. So this is the way the Mets want to roll in 2024, by still adding some type of upgrade to this offense, even if it's not gigantic, even if it's not significant, even if it's only by 1 or 2 wins per WAR for player. Donovan Solano, again, fits the bill. Really is just, to a lesser degree, a much lesser degree, a Justin Turner in regards to power. But when evaluating positional diversity, high contact, high OBP, he is just as good, if not better, that you could argue that Justin Turner in their respective careers right now. So Donovan Solano, an interesting option. Again, not the sexiest name. That has been the case this entire offseason for the Mets, with the guys that they want to acquire versus what they actually acquire, but certainly someone to keep an eye on, as he makes plenty of sense for the club if David Stearns keeps that stubbornness with Mark Vientos and wanting to see what he has for the 2024 season. At number 4, we have a player that I've talked about this offseason going all the way back to when it first began, and that is Adam Duvall, most recently of the Boston Red Sox. Adam Duvall, I've been a personal fan of him for years, going back to his heyday with the Cincinnati Reds, not during his time with the Atlanta Braves nearly as much, where he became a World Series champion in his second tenure with them, but still a guy that I've had utmost respect for, as he has been one of the most slept-on power hitters in Major League Baseball, and it goes directly in hand with his lack of ability to stay consistently on the field because of a lack of health. Last season with Boston, dealt unfortunately with a broken wrist, had him out for a period of time, but before that and after that was absolutely raking in Boston. 21 home runs in only 92 games, 58 RBIs, a 247, 303, 531 clip for 830 or so OPS. We're looking at just roughly a 2-WAR player, and half the season played right around there or so. A 116 WRC plus, just like Donovan Solano, so again 16% better than the average batter in baseball, but a polar opposite profile from Donovan Solano, as Adam Duvall, one, is not going to play the infield, he can play the outfield, and he's pretty solid in doing so. Can handle left, center, and right without a problem, and the Mets already have 4 MLB caliber outfielders on the roster as is, so I can understand if they're on kind of the, if Duvall's on the outside looking in for their preferred options per se, but especially as we get into one of the top players in today's video, that outfield ability still can make sense for this club, as again, they're toying how much per se do they actually want to play someone like Tyrone Taylor, Starling Marte. These are a lot of question marks heading into the season, but Duvall not only in the outfield, but coming off the bench and in the DH position, while he would likely take more time away from Mark Vientos, wouldn't be to the magnitude of some other guys that we have in today's video, because he still can handle his own without a problem in that outfield, and he has been one of the better outfielders in baseball when healthy. And Adam Duvall, again, really consistently a 25 to 30 to 40 home run guy when he's at his absolute best. This is a guy that can easily rake for you as long as he can stay healthy on the field. And then more of a limited sample size, splitting time off the bench at DH, I think Duvall could really thrive in Queens as a guy that's been a power hitter every which way and where he's been in his career. It doesn't matter where Duvall has been, he has raked every single step of the way, and I'd expect him to do that should the Mets bring him on a 1-year deal. This is also the same Adam Duvall that signed a 1-year deal with Boston after Billy Epler tried mightily hard to land him an offseason ago. Should the Mets still have interest there at all on that front, even with a new regime, Duvall can easily slot in as a true power threat along with Pete Alonso in said lineup. Is not going to cost you nearly to the degree as maybe some other current options out there because of his lack of ability to stay on the field, but the upside is that if you're not utilizing him truly on an everyday basis and you get creative based on matchups, DH splitting time between both him and Mark Vientos per se, and coming off the bench along with playing in the outfield, which he can handle without a problem, you're looking at a potentially dynamic player for this Mets team that has playoff experience, knows what it takes to win, and again can be a further leader in that clubhouse for some of the youngins, especially if down the line, say the Mets do decide to call up a Drew Gilbert and Duvall is still on the roster somehow. So Mets fans, keep an eye on Adam Duvall. Again, another slept-on option in this free agent market because of his lack of ability to stay on the field, but there's no denying that when healthy, yes, he's big swing and miss, but he's a huge power threat and a guy that certainly can handle his own against lefty pitching, something the Mets have struggled so mightily with throughout the entire years that I have truly been a fan. At number 3, we have a player today that has been connected to the Mets already this offseason, and that is former Yankee and Gio Urshela. Urshela, again, not only a former Yankee, but a former multi-year teammate and great friends with Francisco Lindor during their time in Cleveland, is a really interesting option for the New York Metropolitans, one of which that I wouldn't be opposed to whatsoever should they go down the route again of wanting to acquire a bat and an infield option that can come off the bench, along with also giving Mark Vientos continued reps at the DH position. Urshela fits the bill just like Donovan Solano, and I could even argue that maybe this is a little bit of a better option than Solano, given age and his potential upside heading into the season and rekindling that relationship at third base at times with Francisco Lindor. Now, of course, I don't want the Mets to sign someone that can really be an everyday player over Brett Beatty for the sake of blocking him. I don't want that to be the case, but you also want protection because there is so much uncertainty at the hot corner for the Mets this season. And Urshela, while he's not known for being this consistent gold glove per se, he has been a pretty average and at times above average defender in his career, can play third base, second base, shortstop, first without a problem like he did this past year, excluding second base. base with the LA Angels. Of course, his sample size was limited because he dealt with an ailment and had him out for the remainder of the season. But in 62 games, 2 home runs, 24 RBIs, 3 stolen bags, roughly 300 average, 329 OBP, a 374 slug. So again, not known for the power there for Urshela, right around league average or just below league average on the hitting, but a guy that year in, year out can play anywhere around that diamond in the infield and can provide high contact and solid OBP ability. So again, it's really a coin flip. What's your preference? Gio Urshela or Donovan Solano? Again, they profile similar. Urshela is a guy that, again, in a limited sample size and a platoon matchup as well, coming off the bench can certainly thrive. And again, later in game as a defensive replacement, and also being another young mentor for someone like Brett Baty and Mark Vientos certainly couldn't hurt. And let's not forget, the Mets' current third base coach also knows Gio very well during their time in Cleveland as well, him and Lindor alike. So for all those reasons and then some, along with the Mets' active connection they've had with Urshela, he again makes plenty of sense for this club should they go down that option to have Mark Vientos playing plenty. And again, a younger option, a guy that knows what it takes to win and understands New York's market very well. All those reasons is exactly why David Stearns has shown interest, and also rekindling that relationship with someone like Carlos Mendoza wouldn't hurt either. So we'll see. Another New York Yankee, a former New York Yankee rather, could be on the horizon to land in Queens, but we'll soon find out. And at number 2, we have another batter that the Mets have reportedly been connected to, none other than one of the most consistent sluggers for the past decade plus, JD Martinez, most recently of the LA Dodgers. Martinez, at the age of 37 years of age now, has still been a very productive hitter, one of the best true power hitters in Major League Baseball. This past year in LA, had a tremendous season, including 33 home runs, 103 RBIs, 61 runs scored. I had the RBIs and the home runs flip-flopped there in the statistics, so I apologize for that error. A 271, 321, 572 clips, so that OPS way up, just under 900. You'll love to see that there for JD Martinez this past season, really bouncing back after a wishy-washy 2022 where he was dealing with back ailments, wasn't traded at the deadline when the Mets had interest there, stayed put in Boston, and then going out to LA, just had a tremendous year where I'm not surprised. He is the utmost professional of a hitter and has consistently been one of the best and most consistent power threats in Major League Baseball. So now, as many of you guys know, we talked a lot about JD Martinez on the channel, so the simple pros and cons, really the reality, will he come here, won't he come here? The reasons why JD Martinez would come here, obviously, is if the Mets can, of course, do their best sell job to land him, and the Mets would finally have a true DH in this lineup. Yes, it would mean the demise of Mark Vientos more than likely to play every day, but what it also would mean is you're finally, for the first time since the universal DH became universal, you have a bona fide, a true DH to protect Pete Alonso, Francisco Lindor, and others in this lineup. Even if he projects to, say, have around 20 to 25 home runs next season and around an 800 OPS, I'm still taking that every single day of the week at the DH position. I'm not expecting the same numbers that what we've seen from JD this past season. I would expect if he signed with the Mets to have a right around, a 250, 260 average, hopefully around an 800 or so OPS, 25 home runs, 80 or 75 to 80 plus RBIs. But even with that being a step back from his 2023 numbers, it still would be beyond serviceable for what the Mets currently need in this DH position. That production alone could be enough to propel them over the top to actually crack playoffs down the stretch this year. Again, that might be a little wishful thinking depending on who you're talking to, but regardless, JD Martinez, look at the numbers: 93rd percentile batting run value, 91st percentile XWOBA, expected batting average 79th percentile, expected slugging 96th percentile, 97th percentile average exit velo, 99 barrel percentage, 98 hard hit percentage, sweet spot percentage 97. Him and Donovan Solano have something to like there. There's so much to love about JD Martinez, but again, he doesn't have positional diversity. There's no flexibility there, so I can see why that could be a turnoff for David Stearns. Along with, it appears that the Mets wouldn't mind a JD Martinez, but at a certain price point that I'm not sure if they can currently get to. So another bat to keep an eye on, one of the best bats available in this free agent class, a true short-term fit that certainly with Justin Turner out of the market now makes more sense than ever before. And last but not least, as a surprise to absolutely nobody, we have Jorge Soler. The Mets have been connected to this offseason. To what degree, we're still kind of trying to find that out. And we all know that Yes, the Toronto Blue Jays were loving the idea of Jorge Soler. Then they decided to pivot and sign Justin Turner, who will most likely be their prime DH option. So Soler is assumably not going to Toronto. Boston, who initially were kicking tires heavy, have a reluctance to spend this offseason, so I'm not getting my hopes up on them necessarily landing him right now. So where is Jorge Soler going to land as a guy that wants a multi-year deal, is horrendous defensively, but can play the outfield position if you absolutely need him to, and is one of, if not the best power option currently out there in the free agent market. 36 home runs, 75 RBIs, a 250, 341, 512 clip this past year for Jorge Soler in Miami, right around a 2 WAR, a 126 WRC plus, which means he's 26% better than the average batter in baseball. But what stands out so much about Jorge Soler is, one, he's only 31 years of age. Two, the guy can easily give you 40-plus bombs on a healthy season. That protection, him and Pete Alonso back-to-back in this lineup could truly do wonders, just absolutely torching baseballs into that second deck plus at Citi Field. That is what we would all love to see. So Soler really kind of comes down to, one, what is he looking for, and two, what is his market? Because it's really hard to gauge right now, and the Mets, as they're still evaluating their options, it feels like they have a better shot now than before to land Soler. But again, that's probably wishful thinking, because with my luck, they're going to go out and they're going to sign someone else that we discussed, like a Donovan Solano or Gio Orella. But having said that all, again, someone like Jorge Soler can not only do wonders for this lineup, but can be productive for multiple years. I would argue that if you're going to sacrifice Mark Vientos at bats, Soler is easily the best option to go after, signing to a 2 or 3 year deal, because then you will have him as part of your win now stage beginning in 2025, when hopefully this roster truly is looking damn good heading into that respective season. Soler this past year, though, 94 percentile in XWOBA, 65 in expected batting average, expected slugging, 95th percentile. We're looking at 79 percentile in average exit velocity, 92 in barrel percentage, 83 in a hard hit percentage, 77 sweet spot percentage, chase percentage, 69 percentile, nice whip percentage, 37 percentile, K percentage, 33 percentile, 83rd percentile, and walk percentage. Why does that stand out? Because it tells you that even as a true power hitter, Soler is pretty disciplined. He's not nearly as bad of a swing and miss guy as is the case with a lot of other respected big sluggers in Major League Baseball, and he knows how to take his pitches. 83rd percentile in walks. What else do you got to do aside from his piss poor defense that we know for the most part? Yes, even toying him in the corner every now and then, I have my concerns, but I'm sure that it could at least make a level of sense if you bring in Soler. He at least has that defensive upside where he can be put in a corner, even if it's not good, where you could argue, okay, we're going to have him in the corner today, we're going to have Mark Vientos at DH. Again, I'd argue that you probably want to trade Mark Vientos if you sign someone like Jorge Soler, because I don't see how you could have a true fit for the entirety of the year and then multiple years on top of that. But Jorge Soler, this bat, the dynamic it would bring to this lineup would truly do wonders. That's exactly why the Mets have been connected to him. That's exactly why I want the Mets to land him, and hopefully they can try to get something done here. Again, probably shooting for the stars with how this offseason has went, but certainly a guy that, should the Mets land, I would be beyond ecstatic to see in Queens for the 2024 season and beyond. So that's going to do it, folks. I want to know your reactions to this top 5 of bats that make sense for the Mets. Which one could you see the Mets likely landing, or maybe do you not expect them to land any of these guys? If you expect them to stay in-house, that's perfectly fine too. That very much can be a reality. But again, if they are going to land a bat this offseason, these are 5 bats that I'd imagine are leading the way as options for the club. But we will soon hopefully find out where they do land a bat, if at all, this MLB offseason, who it'll be. So again, thank you all so much for the endless support. Stay tuned for consistent coverage on all things Mets all offseason long. This is your boy Wardy signing out. Let's go Mets, baby. Peace.